in the bustling city of Bubastis, where the great temple of Bastet stood proud against the cloudless Egyptian sky, a small black cat named Miut opened her eyes for what felt like the first time. But this was no ordinary awakening. As Miut's green eyes adjusted to the bright sunlight, memories that weren't her own flooded her mind. Visions of godly power, of worship and adoration, of a duty to protect Egypt from an impending doom. Miut wasn't just a cat. She was Bastet, the powerful feline goddess, reborn in mortal form. As she sat up, her tiny body trembling with the weight of divine knowledge, a booming voice echoed in her head. Bastet, my daughter, the voice of Ra, the sun god, resonated within her. A great evil approaches. The serpent Apophis seeks to swallow the sun and plunge the world into eternal darkness. You have been given 9 lives to prevent this catastrophe. Use them wisely, for each time you fall, you will be reborn with the knowledge of your previous life, but also one step closer to final death. Fail, and all of Egypt, nay, the world, will perish. Miut, or Bastet as she now knew herself to be, felt her first stand on end. The fate of the world rested on her small, furry shoulders. But how could a mere cat, even one with the soul of a goddess, hope to defeat a cosmic serpent? As if in answer to her unspoken question, Ra's voice continued, seek out the 9 sacred relics of the gods. United, they hold the power to banish Apophis. But beware, my daughter. The serpent's minions walk among mortals, seeking to thwart you at every turn. With that, the voice faded, leaving Miut alone with her daunting task. She stretched her small body, marveling at how different it felt from her divine form. Yet, she could feel the latent power within her, waiting to be unleashed. Miut padded out of the alley where she had awakened, her keen eyes taking in the familiar sights of Bubastis with new appreciation. Humans bustled about their daily lives, unaware of the divine drama unfolding in their midst. Some paused to admire the sleek black cat, a few even offering scraps of food, which Miut graciously accepted. She would need her strength for the journey ahead. As she made her way towards the temple of Bastet, Miut's divine senses tingled. Something was amiss. The usual reverent atmosphere around the temple was tainted with an undercurrent of malice. As she approached, she saw a group of priests exiting the temple, carrying a small golden statue, her statue. Miut's hackles raised. These were no ordinary priests. Their eyes gleamed with an unnatural red light, and their movements were too fluid, too predatory. Agents of Apophis, disguised as her own clergy. Without thinking, Miut sprang into action. She darted between the legs of the false priests, causing them to stumble. In the confusion, the golden statue slipped from their grasp. Miut caught it deftly in her mouth and took off running, the angry shouts of the impostors fading behind her. Heart-pounding, Miut raced through the streets of Bubastis. She could hear the pounding of feet behind her. The false priests were in pursuit. As she turned a corner, she found herself face to face with a snarling jackal, its eyes glowing with the same malevolent red as the priests. Miut skidded to a halt, the statue still clenched in her jaws. She was cornered, the jackal in front and the sound of her pursuers growing louder behind her. In that moment, her divine instincts took over. She felt a surge of power and leaped, far higher than any ordinary cat could, sailing over the surprised jackal and onto a nearby rooftop. But as she landed, her paw slipped on a loose tile. Miut lost her balance, the statue flying from her mouth as she plummeted towards the ground. Time seemed to slow as she fell, and in her mind, she heard Ra's voice once more, remember, my daughter. 9 lives. The impact was swift and decisive. Miut felt a burst of pain, and then darkness. When she opened her eyes again, Miut found herself back in the alley where she had first awakened. Her body felt whole and strong, but the memories of her previous life remained vivid. She had lost 1 life, but had managed to protect the statue, her first sacred relic. As Miut set out once more, she felt a new determination. 8 lives remained, and 8 more relics to find. The path ahead would be dangerous, but she was Bastet, protector of Egypt, and she would not fail. Over the next few days, Miut's quest took her across Egypt. From the bustling ports of Alexandria to the remote oases of the western desert, she searched tirelessly for the sacred relics. Each one presented its own challenge, and each victory came at a cost. Her second life was lost in the labyrinthine tombs beneath the Great Pyramid, where she outsmarted a mischievous sphinx but fell victim to a hidden pitfall. The third slipped away in the churning waters of the Nile, as she rescued the Ankh of life from a clan of voracious crocodiles. With each rebirth, Miut grew stronger, her divine powers manifesting more clearly. She could now understand and speak to humans, though she used this ability sparingly to avoid suspicion. Her agility and strength surpassed that of any mortal cat, and she could call upon brief bursts of divine radiance to dazzle her enemies. But Apophis's minions grew stronger too. Miut faced not just animals and corrupted humans, but demonic entities that slithered out of the shadows to oppose her. Each encounter left her more battle-scarred, her once sleek fur now matted and singed in places. By the time Miut had collected 8 of the 9 relics, she had only 2 lives remaining. The weight of her quest hung heavy upon her as she approached her final destination, the hidden Temple of Ra, deep in the heart of the Valley of the Kings. The temple was a magnificent sight, its gold-capped spire reaching towards the heavens. But Miut had no time to admire the view. As she approached, the ground began to tremble. The sand before the temple erupted, and from it emerged a massive cobra, its hood emblazoned with the symbol of Apophis. "So, the little goddess comes at last," the cobra hissed, its voice dripping with malice. "Did you really think Apophis would leave his prize unguarded?" Miut stood her ground, her green eyes flashing with divine light. "Stand aside, servant of chaos," she growled. "The fate of the world hangs in the balance." The cobra laughed, a chilling sound that sent shivers down Miut's spine. "The world will be reborn in darkness, little one. Your quest ends here." With frightening speed, the cobra struck. Miut leaped, but the serpent's fangs grazed her flank. She yelled in pain, feeling the burning venom course through her body. As her vision began to blur, she summoned every ounce of her remaining strength. With a mighty leap, she sank her claws into the cobra's hood, raking them down with all her might. The serpent thrashed in pain, flinging Miut against the temple wall. As darkness closed in around her, Miut saw the cobra retreat, leaving a trail of dark blood on the sand. Then, everything went black. Miut's 8th life slipped away, but her sacrifice had won her entry to the temple. When she awakened to her 9th and final life, she found herself at the foot of a great golden statue of Ra. Before it sat a gleaming scarab amulet, the 9th and final relic. As Miut's paw touched the amulet, the temple around her dissolved. She found herself standing on a celestial barge, sailing across the night sky. Around her neck hung all 9 relics, glowing with combined power. Before her stood Ra himself, his falcon head crowned with the solar disk. "You have done well, my daughter," Ra said, his voice filled with warmth and pride. But your greatest challenge yet awaits. Apophis approaches, and the fate of the world hangs in the balance. As if on cue, the stars around them began to wink out. A darkness deeper than night slithered across the sky. Apophis, in its true, world-ending form. Miut felt fear threatened to overwhelm her, but she stood tall. She was Bastet, goddess of protection, daughter of Ra, and guardian of Egypt. This was what she was reborn to do. As Apophis lunged for Ra's barge, Miut sprang into action. She became a blur of fur and divine light, the 9 relics swirling around her. Each time Apophis struck, she countered, her claws now capable of wounding even the cosmic serpent. The battle raged across the night sky, stars blinking in and out of existence around them. Miut gave everything she had, knowing that this final life was all that stood between the world and eternal darkness. Just when it seemed Apophis might triumph, Miut saw her opportunity. As the serpent reared back for a final strike, she leaped onto its head. With a yowl that shook the heavens, she plunged the 9 relics directly into Apophis's eye. There was a blinding flash of light, a scream that echoed across time and space, and then, silence. When Miut opened her eyes, she found herself back in the alley in Bubastis where her journey had begun. Her body was once again that of a small black cat, the power of the 9 relics and her divine essence spent in that final, world-saving blow. For a moment, Miut felt a pang of sadness. Had it all been for nothing? Was she now just an ordinary cat? But then she heard delighted laughter. A group of children had spotted her and were running over, their eyes filled with joy and wonder. As they stroked her fur and offered her treats, Miut began to purr. She realized then that she had not lost her divine purpose, it had simply changed. She was still Bastet, protector of Egypt, but now her duty was to bring joy, comfort, and love to the people she had saved. And as she nuzzled into the arms of a smiling child, Miut knew that this life, her 9th life, might just be the best one yet. From that day forward, the people of Bubastis told tales of a small black cat with eyes that shone like stars. They said she brought good fortune to any home she visited, and that in times of trouble, she would appear to those in need, a silent guardian watching over Egypt. And on quiet nights, if one listened closely, they might hear the sound of playful paws running across rooftops, keeping watch over the city that slept peacefully below, safe in the knowledge that their feline protector was always near.